In the US, we have hundreds of stores to buy meat, but choosing the wrong one could cost your family's health. Americans spend money on vitamins, insurance, and fresh food, yet bring home red meat that's red because of preservatives, not because it's fresh. Some supermarkets serve you with professional butchers, advising like chefs, but others sell cheap meat like clearance items. And it's cheap by trading away safety. The money saved from cheap meat is not worth it if what you lose is your health. So today, we clearly divide 16 real choices in America. 8 of the best grocery stores to buy meat, where the quality is worth trusting. 8 of the worst stores to buy meat, where it's cheap but full of risks. Not based on ads, not based on brands, only based on the truth your health needs to know. In the worst list, there is a supermarket where you're still buying meat every week. 8. Sam's Club, where the meat speaks the truth without lipstick. While many stores try to make meat look redder with cold lighting or spray preservatives to make it look fresh, Sam's Club chooses silence. The silence of someone confident enough. They don't need slogans. They don't need to advertise ethical organics. Here the meat is displayed simply, clearly, and at its true value. Sam's Club doesn't try to sell expensive emotions. They sell real. A ribeye here doesn't sparkle like in commercials, but once it hits the stove, you understand why it's loved. The cut is thick, not dry, with evenly distributed fat. The kind of fat that makes the pan crackle and could make a poet want to cook. In many other places, you pay for a single meal. At Sam's Club, you pay for a whole week of good eating, enough to portion, cut, freeze, and enjoy slowly. They're not for people who shop daily. They're for people who know how to stock smartly, especially middle-aged buyers and large families. Those who understand the difference between cheap price and worthwhile price. There's something interesting. Sam's doesn't try to show off dedicated butchers, yet they have people behind the counter who really know how to hold a knife. They're not workers babysitting a fridge. They're people who can cut brisket to the right size, handle tenderloin for the correct dish, and help you take home something worth cooking. They don't explain much. You just say it, they do it. Sam's Club simply stands still and displays meat as it is. No gimmicks, no fairy tales about cows, no sprinkling the word premium on every label. They let the customer decide, and smart shoppers still come. Sam's Club exists as a reminder. Good meat doesn't need to show off. Just cook it and prove it. 7. Stater Bros, where the meat counter is not a shelf, but an operating table of honor. In California, people can argue about everything. High taxes, traffic jams, crazy housing prices. But when it comes to meat at Stater Bros, no one mocks it. No one takes it lightly. Because here, a piece of meat is not treated like a lifeless commodity. It is respected. Walk into Stater Bros and you don't just see refrigerators. You see people. The people behind the counter, not wearing fake smiles to please customers, but wearing skill. They're not food employees. They are true butchers. People who hold a knife the way a surgeon holds a scalpel. Precise, understanding the physiology of every muscle fiber, knowing which cut is great and which belongs in the scrap pile. You want a tri-tip done the true California BBQ style? They don't just cut it, they create a heavy weapon for your weekend cookout. You ask about brisket for a 12-hour smoke? They choose the exact piece with a thick layer of fat, as if they're defending the honor of that dish. At other stores, you just buy a cut sitting on a shelf. Here, you're buying the responsibility of the person holding the knife. Stater Bros doesn't flirt with customers using words. They let skill do the talking. In an era when many supermarkets sell meat like lottery tickets, get something good if you're lucky, or too bad if you're not, Stater Bros behaves as if every family meal deserves respect. This is where Americans keep the last memory of the traditional butcher craft. If you also want to eat a piece of meat that truly matters, hit like to spread this truth. And don't forget to subscribe, so your family's meal no longer depends on the luck of an industrial meat counter. 6. Publix, where a piece of meat is treated like a VIP guest. And then there's Publix, where you don't just buy meat, you are welcomed to the meat counter. Here, you don't need to fight for the best tray. You don't need to stare at cold lights to guess which piece is fresh. The Publix meat counter is always so clean that people believe if the meat could talk, it would thank them for being here. Not everyone cares about the appearance of a cut of meat, but Publix does. Not with tricks of chemical coloring or lights that deceive the eye, but with quality control to the point of obsession. Angus beef slices are arranged no differently from luxury products in a watch boutique. Organic products are not priced like extravagant goods, and less processed meats are prioritized as symbols of eat real, live real. People often say, you can argue about Walmart, Kroger, Safeway, but Publix? Hard to complain. Shuti, a viewer once commented, my Publix here on the coast of South Carolina is the cleanest and kindest store I've ever seen. Service and selection are excellent. And when an elderly customer had to correct a Safeway employee about spoiled meat, she herself compared it to Publix as the standard of kindness in selling food. Publix is not a place that sells cheap. Publix sells peace of mind. When you step up to the meat counter, you don't feel like a shopper. You feel like someone being served, as if in a familiar butcher shop, where the seller knows you don't need the cheapest cut. You need the most trustworthy one. In an era when many supermarkets treat meat as a product that needs to be pushed quickly, Publix looks at each cut as if it were dinner for their own family. And maybe that is exactly what makes Publix not the cheapest choice, but the right choice. So, does the Publix meat counter where you live up to that reputation? 5. Sprouts Farmers Market, where meat is so clean, it makes you question how you've been eating. Not everyone who buys meat wants to save money. Some people seek cleanliness, not just clean inside the display case, but clean from the origin. Sprouts exists for those people. Here, the question is not how much per pound, but how was this piece of meat raised? Sprouts doesn't sell meat because of bright red color or shiny packaging. They sell it because of the story behind it. No growth hormones, no antibiotics, no injections to make cattle grow faster than time itself. Every cut of meat is a promise that you are buying food, not an industrial product. Do you want real grass-fed, not something labeled green just to look nice? Do you want organic, not as a fancy sticker? Do you want true free range, not chickens that only poke their heads out to look at the sky? At Sprouts, you can ask, and the person behind the counter can answer, instead of smiling and staring at a wall. What makes Sprouts special is not the price and not the brand, but the trust that the buyer feels for themselves. You come to choose food, but you leave with peace of mind. You walk in as a stranger, but walk out with cooking knowledge from butchers who know exactly what you're going to make. And if you've ever looked at a piece of meat and wondered how clean it really is, Sprouts will make you ask a question that seems simple, but can shake your eating habits. Are you cooking to fill a stomach, or to treat your body with kindness? 4. Whole Foods Market, when meat is not just for eating, but for trusting. In many stores, you buy meat like buying a lottery ticket. If it looks nice, you take it, and only after cooking do you find out whether you were lucky or not. But at Whole Foods, that feeling disappears. The meat here isn't looking good. It is proven to be good and clean through standards, certifications, and requirements that make many producers give up before they even begin. Whole Foods doesn't sell bright red meat thanks to preserving gas. They sell numbers. No hormones, no antibiotics, no injected growth accelerators. And they go further. Animal welfare certified, certification for how the animal was treated. In other places, people only ask, how much does this meat cost? Here they ask, how did the animal live before it became food? That is no longer buying and selling. It is ethics on a plate. Someone said directly in the comment section of the video, Whole Foods isn't cheap, but my trust has never been discounted. Whole Foods is not for everyone. It is for those who not only want to eat clean, but want to live clean with their choices. So if your child asked you that same question, which meat counter would you take them to? 3. Costco. Wholesale, where prime meat is no longer just for the wealthy. At a steakhouse, a USDA prime cut is served like a luxury item on a plate. But when you walk into Costco, that luxury sits right in front of you, at a price that doesn't hurt your wallet. Costco doesn't sell premium meat for showing off. They sell excellence packed like industrial goods, but with the quality of a Michelin chef's kitchen. That's what makes Costco different. Prime quality, warehouse price. It sounds ridiculous, but that ridiculous truth makes big families, serious meal preppers, and hardcore BBQ fans feel like they're cheating the system. At other stores, it's easy to see a steak that looks great on the outside but hides inconsistency inside. Tender today, tough as a rock tomorrow. Costco almost never lies to your mouth. No fake pink coloring, no meat soaked in strange preservative solutions. Just real quality, consistent, reliable, worthy. Buy once, trust it for a year. One viewer once commented, "At a restaurant, I pay for the fancy knife. At Costco, I only pay for the meat, and I like that better." Costco isn't fancy like Whole Foods, isn't locally familiar like Stater Brothers. They simply care about a level of quality that no one else dares to sell at a low price. And they make that contradiction feel normal. You don't need a suit to eat a prime steak. Just walk into Costco, grab a pack, divide it into your freezer, and every time you open that freezer, a steakhouse-level dinner is waiting to thaw. If you had to choose, do you pay for the restaurant spotlight or for the real steak? If you like these kinds of breakdowns, leave a quick like and subscribe so you don't miss the next part. 2. H-E-B, Texas. The godfather of meat in the American South in Texas. Mentioning meat is mentioning the pride of an entire region, and in that world, H-E-B stands like a true godfather. No fancy slogans, no luxury logos. H-E-B only needs one meat counter, and that alone is enough to intimidate its rivals. You walk up to the H-E-B meat counter, and the first feeling is the smell of confidence. Bright red, fat marbling flowing evenly like art. No dyeing, no industrial makeup. Here you find prime 1 beef, the type of meat usually found only in high-end steakhouse kitchens. Yet H-E-B sells it, like selling everyday bread. No fanfare, no fancy pricing, simply this. If the meat is good, then letting the people eat well is a right. What makes H-E-B different is not only the quality, but the people behind the counter. The butchers here don't just cut meat. They advise like chefs, suggesting thickness, marinades, resting time. One customer once shared, "I went to buy meat, but ended up getting a free BBQ class." HEB creates the feeling of a local market, but with the class of a luxury restaurant. No showmanship, no noise, just quietly winning hearts with a cut of meat worthy of the name Texas. Do you think HEB is qualified to be called the paradise for meat lovers? Comment below. 1. Wegmans, East Coast. The restaurant for people who cook at home. If Costco makes you feel like you're eating rich people's steak at a normal price, then Wegmans goes one step further. It turns the feeling of buying meat into the feeling of selecting ingredients for a fine dining meal cooked at home. Walking up to the Wegmans meat counter, you don't just see options, you see expertise. Dry-aged, hung for the right number of days. USDA prime marbled perfectly like a sculpture. Organic, clearly categorized. And even exotic cuts, the kind you only see in high-end restaurant kitchens, are all there. Not displayed for show, but so anyone can choose exactly what they want, with no compromise. But what puts Wegmans at number 1 is not just the meat. It's the way they treat the buyer. The way they ask questions makes you no longer feel like a grocery shopper. You become the chef of your own family. One customer once commented, "I don't buy meat at Wegmans. I choose ingredients for my meal." No one goes to Wegmans to just get it over with. People go to honor their own meal. If there is a place that makes you feel like you're preparing for a special dinner, does your area have a Wegmans? If the previous stores gave us a sense of trust, excitement, and the desire to eat well, then on the other side, there are places that make meat buyers hesitate, sigh, or even leave their cart behind and walk away with nothing. Not because the price is cheap, but because the quality is cheap. Meat can be a meal, but it can also be a health issue. And a substandard cut doesn't just ruin dinner. It can make shoppers lose faith in the entire store. Now we're going to look directly at the dark side of the market. The 8 worst places to buy meat in America. Not to smear any business, but so consumers, especially those over 50, the people cooking for their families and for their health, know which places to avoid and which places to think twice about. Get ready, because this list won't be as gentle as the last one. And 8, save a lot, when cheap comes with a price. Save a lot always hangs a promise that sounds pleasant to many people. Eat well, pay less. But in the world of meat, cheap is not always a blessing. For many customers, walking up to the meat section at Save a Lot feels like buying a lottery ticket. You might get lucky, but most of the time it's just disappointment. Meat here is often cheaper than the market average, but it comes with worries. Color changes, strange smells, and spoilage before the expiration date. The exact things older shoppers are most sensitive to. There's no butcher on site, no one to control the quality of each cut, no one to answer the simplest question. Where did this meat come from? How long has it been here? And when the seller doesn't know, the buyer worries even more. One customer once made a bitter comment. The meat still has a valid expiration date, but the smell expired a long time ago. That's not a complaint about price. That's a sigh from people buying food for their families, and they don't want dinner to turn into a gamble with their health. Save a Lot isn't wrong for being cheap. The problem is being cheap without peace of mind. In the meat industry, cheap isn't a win if the buyer has to trade away trust and safety. Have you ever bought cheap meat only to throw it straight into the trash? Share your story. 7. Food Lion. Nice to look at, not nice to cook. Food Lion has a secret that many people see but few want to admit. The meat here looks great if you only stand a few feet away from it. Bright red, eye-catching, looking like it was freshly cut that morning. But once you bring it home and open the packaging, Many customers discover an uncomfortable truth: strange odor, slimy texture, and rapid spoilage even when the expiration date is still far away. The cause is often mentioned in customer feedback: using preservatives to keep a fake, fresh red color. A piece of meat may look vibrant like an advertisement, but that color tells you nothing about real freshness. It only makes you believe you're getting the right thing. Food Lion also doesn't have a butcher at the counter to control quality or offer advice. That means you can't ask, "Is this cut good for grilling?" You can only guess and hope. One shopper left a bitter comment: "Food Lion meat is fresh until you open the bag." The issue here isn't cheap prices or small stores. It's the feeling of being deceived by beauty. In food, the scariest thing isn't an ugly cut of meat. It's a beautiful one that isn't safe to eat. Do you trust the red color of meat when you're at the store? Or have you ever been fooled by what looks good and betrayed by the taste? Share below. 6. Stop and Shop. The meat counter has been industrialized. Stop and Shop once had on-site butchers, once cut meat on request, once had someone responsible for every steak you brought home. But after outsourcing the entire process, the meat counter here is no longer a place where meat is prepared. It has become a place that displays factory-processed meat. The meat looks very nice, bright red, and neatly cut like a premium packaged product. But the nicer it looks, the more customers become suspicious. Because after just 1-2 days in their home fridge, that advertising perfect piece of meat changes smell, changes color, and loses its texture. Many people believe the reason lies in preservatives that keep the color, made to make meat nice to sell, not fresh to cook. One haunting comment captured what many people feel: "I don't buy meat to display, I buy it to eat," and Stop and Shop forgot that. While the best supermarkets treat butchery as a craft, Stop and Shop turns meat into a mass-produced industrial product. No one is responsible, no one gives advice, no one guarantees quality. Just pretty packaging and a gamble in every meal. Neat appearance cannot replace real freshness. And when the whole meat counter operates like a factory line, then customers are nothing more than consumers of factory products. Do you think a meat counter should be run by people or by a pre-packaging factory? 5. Target. Meat for shoppers, not for cooks. Target is a great place to buy clothing, home decor, and household goods. But when it comes to meat, this place feels more like an industrial display than a counter for dinner ingredients. No butcher, no custom cuts, no one responsible for each steak. Everything is pre-packaged, transported, and stocked on shelves like a regular product. The quality isn't necessarily bad, just lifeless. For serious cooks, especially the 50-plus group who choose meat based on experience, Target feels like buying furniture shaped like meat. Nice to look at, but lacking true meat character. Few options, limited origin information, no advice on thickness, cut type, or cooking purpose. One customer once remarked, "Meat at Target looks like cosmetic products, spotless but soulless." Clearly, Target is good for shopping, but not for anyone who treats a meal seriously. 4. Trader Joe's. Great for snacks, but not for steak. Trader Joe's built its reputation with quick meals, quirky snacks, and clever packaged foods. But its meat section feels like a forgotten supporting role. No butcher, no advice, limited choices, and prices too high for the quality. Buyers can only take what the store already packaged. No extras, no adjustments. Many customers report that the meat spoils quickly even when freshly purchased, and some say it develops strange odors after 1 to 2 days. One comment captured it perfectly. Trader Joe's is great for a quick meal, not great for a proper steak. It's an ideal place for snacks, salads, and frozen food. But when it comes to meat, not for people who love cooking. Have you ever picked the wrong store to buy meat? Share your story. 3. Aldi. Buying meat feels like buying a lottery ticket. Aldi puts shoppers in the most uncomfortable situation, unsure whether to trust or avoid the meat. In some locations, the meat section is fine, good price, decent quality. But just a few miles away, you might find discolored cuts, strange smells, unclear origins, and no butcher to answer for anything. The issue is not bad meat, it's inconsistency. You might take home a tender, nicely priced ribeye, or one that looks fresh, but disappoints the moment you open it. One customer commented, "At Aldi, you don't pick meat, you pick luck." A family dinner shouldn't turn into a gamble. Meat is not something to buy based on chance. If you've ever had to bet your meal at Aldi, share your experience in the comments. And if you want more guidance to eat well without taking risks, a quick like and subscribe is the perfect way to stay with us. 2. Walmart. Cheap. But not for the stomach. Walmart leads in low prices. But when it comes to the meat section, many older shoppers consider it the area they never step into. There are far too many complaints about meat turning green, gray, becoming slimy, smelling bad even when still within date, or being beautified with color-preserving agents to make it look fresher than it really is. The issue is not just taste, it's trust in health. Walmart is also not transparent about meat sourcing, and this is especially risky for those who buy large quantities to freeze. Cheap at first, but expensive when you end up throwing away an entire bag of meat. One viewer wrote something short but painfully accurate. At Walmart, looking good doesn't mean edible. Cheap is good. But cheap meat without safety is no longer savings, it's risk. Have you ever seen strangely colored meat at Aldi or Walmart? Share to warn others. 1. Amazon Fresh. Convenient to click. Dangerous to eat. Amazon Fresh promises buy meat with just one click. But with highly perishable foods like fresh meat, convenience can turn into risk. No one checks directly, no butcher takes responsibility, and delivery time means the meat sits in a vehicle for too long, easily spoiling before it reaches the customer. There have been multiple recalls due to contamination, Salmonella, Listeria, and because Amazon sources from many different suppliers depending on location, quality is extremely inconsistent. Some places receive good products, others receive strange smells, sliminess, discoloration, even though the label is still in date. One comment said it straight. "I clicked to buy toilet paper, not to end up seeing a doctor." Amazon Fresh is suitable for dry goods, canned food, household products. But for fresh meat, convenience is not enough to trade for health. Do you trust Click to get good meat? Or do you still prefer to choose it yourself? Share your thoughts. And if this content is helpful, leave a quick like and subscribe. In an era where meat can be red because of chemicals, and low prices sometimes come with health risks, choosing the right supermarket is just as important as choosing the right family doctor. Not every crowded store is trustworthy. Not every cheap place is a savings. The meat placed on your dinner table must be real food, not a gamble. Choose a store that respects your health, because a safe meal today is tomorrow's longevity.